Welcome to the Rooted Lounge, where we break down the 3 core relationships that shape everything about your life as a mom: your relationship with yourself, your partner, and your kids. We're Monica and Michelle, therapists turned mom coaches, and we know firsthand that motherhood isn't just diapers and to-do lists. It's an identity shift that touches every part of who you are. This ain't your mama's motherhood. Here, we mix real mom talk, a little humor, and a lot of truth to help you feel more grounded, connected, and fully alive in your life as a mom. So grab your coffee, hide in the bathroom if you have to, and let's get into today's conversation. Hey mamas, welcome back to the Rooted Lounge. So today's episode is super special because Michelle is back. So we are just sitting down to talk about pregnancy, birth, postpartum, becoming a mom of 2, and what life actually feels like right now, the tenderness, the chaos, the beauty, and all the overwhelm and everything in between. So if you're in a postpartum season, a newborn season, or just a season where life feels heavy and soft all at once, this episode is for you. So settle in and just have a listen. So welcome back, Michelle. So excited.
Thank you. It's so great to be back. It's so crazy because I feel like time went by super fast, but also really slow. And for all of you that are listening or watching, you probably didn't even see that I was gone because we've just been dropping episodes every other week, but I have been out since the middle of December. So the time has flown by, but it's also not enough time. So it's crazy that we're back, but it's
Never
great to
enough
be
time.
here. Yeah, it's never enough time, right? Seriously.
So how does it feel to be back in this space? What is life actually feeling like and looking like for you right now?
So it's great to be back. And I think the reasoning for that, mind you, I'm only 6 weeks postpartum. So I feel like a lot of people are probably like, you're back after 6 weeks. What the hell are you doing? Well, one, when you work for yourself, you can't take 12 weeks. So that's number one. But number two, I'm really excited to kind of just be back in the flow of Beyond Being and the Rooted Lounge and all of the stuff that we have going on, because it gives me a routine that feels a lot more consistent, and I don't have to really think too hard because everything is just kind of scheduled for me, and I know what I'm doing every day versus it just kind of being 6 weeks of being in your house and not really going anywhere. And I don't know, I'm really excited. And honestly, with my first child, or my son, I was back within 6 weeks also, because I felt like I needed it. I needed to have some type of routine and do different things other than just take care of a newborn.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and it's like in some aspects, it's so funny how in some ways it does feel like forever, but then it also doesn't all at the same time. So I love those feelings of 2 things that are very different existing at once.
Yeah, totally. And I felt the same way with my son too. I was like, all right, I'm ready to have a little bit more of my life back and what that looks like. Again, there's a little bit of necessity. I have to go back because we work for ourselves. So we can't take that time, but I'm definitely the person that needs it. So it feels great.
Yeah, awesome. So I have a bunch of questions ready for you today, and
let's do it.
Dive into lots of different kind of aspects. So as I mentioned in the little intro, pregnancy, kind of the postpartum stuff, the birth experience, life with a newborn, becoming a mom of 2. So all these different aspects. So we'll start with the pregnancy, more related questions. So what was different about this pregnancy compared to your first?
Oh, that could be, we already know that could be an episode in and of itself. But to be brief for any of you who've listened in the past, I had a really challenging pregnancy with my son, and I actually gave birth at 25 weeks. So this pregnancy was clearly significantly different. And you can kind of see in subsequent episodes too that I'm like functioning and I'm like doing yoga and I made it to 36 weeks and all of these things. So kind of like a large overview. I mean, it was a night and day experience. I was considered high risk still, but I had no complications. And it was challenging for me emotionally, I think, which I'm pretty sure there's a question in there about just like the emotional aspect. So I think emotionally it was challenging, but like physically for both me and the baby, like easy breezy. I felt so much better. So it was definitely a better experience, thank God. So
Yeah, good. So, what felt more grounded or peaceful this time compared to your first?
I think that goes along with like that emotional kind of aspect that I don't know if I was necessarily grounded throughout the whole pregnancy because I was really like overwhelmed and anxious, just being worried about what could happen because things had already happened to me previously. But I found a lot of like, I felt really settled when I was doing things that kind of just expanded that piece. So like I just kind of mentioned, like I did a lot of yoga. I pulled a lot of tarot cards and oracle cards this time around, which again, if you're into that, great. If you're not, you know, like any kind of spirituality thing, like I just found what felt good to me and really centered myself in those spaces, which I think really helped me get through the pregnancy emotionally. And the fact that I was going at 36 weeks, I was like, cool, I don't have to be pregnant for 40 weeks. So that was here. I felt like every week it was like, I like you get closer and closer, obviously, but it was nice to be like, oh, I get to go like 4 weeks early.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and again, like these your stories and experiences are unique because you did have such a complicated pregnancy the first time around. You had a NICU baby and all the things that were, that went along with that. So this experience was different in the very obvious ways. So I think that aside from like the very obvious stark differences between the medical related things in this, like I would love to hear too from you, just more, I guess, specifically on just like how things felt different, like the things were, or rather the next question was like, was there any grief or fear mixed in with the joy? So it's hard for you to compare, obviously, because first was not, a super typical experience for many moms. But for those that, that is their experience as well. So I kind of want to hit like a little bit of everything,
Yeah, totally. No, and I think that's a really good question because yes, it can be challenging for me to separate the two, but the first thing that came to mind when you said that was I had lost a lot of weight about 6 to 8 months before I got pregnant, and a lot of that weight I was still holding on to from my first pregnancy and with my son. And I am not a person who enjoys pregnancy, even if I didn't have complications. And I like to kind of say that like often, well, like, cause I've had be like, well, obviously you didn't like pregnancy. Like you had a lot of complications. And I'm like, no, like even this pregnancy, like, I don't know. I just don't like being pregnant. I don't like my body changing. And so I guess maybe I don't know if it's necessarily grief, but I was a lot more, I was kinder to myself this time around. I mean, I lost 35 pounds and then, I gained that plus some back within, which obviously I'm growing a baby, but I was really kind to myself and I I don't know, I didn't really have like any negative thoughts there. And of course, like I didn't love watching my body change, and I still didn't love the symptoms that came with pregnancy. But that idea of just being really kind to yourself and really allowing myself to do or not do things, which is not my experience with my first, that like, I was like, oh, I'm going to just do everything, right? Like I can still, if I'm tired, even though it's pregnancy tired, like I'm still going to push myself. And I just didn't do that. I was like, cool, like I'm exhausted and I want to go to bed at 8 o'clock, even though I have a million things to do, whatever, I'm going to do it. Which I know we talk about a lot of that just in motherhood in general, but that was one thing that I really tried to focus on during this pregnancy, that like, I really, really wanted to be kinder to myself, both mentally and physically.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's so huge, because I know, I mean, for many, many, many women, I think the body changes specifically is one thing that so many women have trouble with. And
because it's not just weight. I mean, it's your skin, your like
everything,
like
your
literally
hair,
everything.
like I remember with my oldest, and I didn't even know that this could happen or happens, but I remember I went to try on a jacket that I had, and it didn't fit me anymore. And not in terms of like being able to close it and zipper it, like it didn't fit me in the back and the shoulders. And I was
Yeah.
what is this? Like, I'm like, what is happening here?
Especially because I feel like that's the first thing, or at least for me, that's the first thing that changed for me. Like my chest got bigger, it got heavier, and my shoulders got broader. And I was like, I don't even have a belly bump yet. Like, what are we doing?
I was like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand. I was like, I was beside myself. I just, and then to find out, like, well, duh, like everything, your body is literally changing in all of these magnificent ways to make space for the baby. And it blew my mind. I was like, holy cow, I didn't realize that, like, literally my back is getting wider. Aside from the obvious, like, like you're putting on more weight and all of that stuff. But
yeah, but I mean, like your feet get bigger, your skin changes, your hair texture changes. I mean, really, truly everything and anything. And I think you also know a little bit more of what to expect with those changes with your second, even though every pregnancy is different, all the symptoms are different, but you're more prepared to be like, okay, like I know what symptoms of pregnancy, like, and what happens. So again, are you being kinder to yourself, or is it more challenging? So yeah, for me, I was a lot more kinder to myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a game changer. It really, really is a game changer.
Well, and it just completely changed the way that I walked into pregnancy, but also like my postpartum experience too, that like I physically now, I don't feel as bad, again, physically and mentally, with my recovery and just with all the postpartum changes and your shift of hormones, right? Like I just don't feel any of those same things. Like I felt really down on myself afterwards, and I was holding on to a lot, understandably so. But even just this time, I just feel a lot lighter, and not in weight sense, like just lighter mentally.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes sense. So what was the emotional experience of birth like for you this time around?
Man, wild. I don't like, that's like not even, it's like not even a good word to describe it. But I was afraid, so kind of going back to your last question, like even though I knew I was going to make it to the end and it being healthy, everything about this experience was different for me. So I was like, wow, like what does a C-section feel like or look like when you're awake and it's not emergent, right? Or, for a lot of other people, you know, like what is this delivery going to look like versus my first one, and whether it surprises you or not. Like there's just so many unknowns. So I think for just any mom, there is a little bit of fear of like, what is this time going to bring, especially with like giving birth, C-sections, all of these things. So for me, it was definitely fear. But it was like immediately shifted by joy and happiness and like disbelief. And for any of you listening that have had a C-section and you're awake, it's a wild experience. And I remember walking in, because you walk into the OR, which is also just crazy that you just like walk and sit on the operating table. Anyways, but I was really emotional. Like I think that I handled my anxiety pretty well, but the minute I walked in there, I was like, waterworks. And
what was going on for you at that time, like when the waterworks happened?
I think it was a combination of a trauma response. So being back in an OR, and disbelief and excitement that it was about to be over, because I was like, I want her here.
Yeah.
And so the next very emotional experience for me, and oh my God, I'm gonna freaking cry saying it. So what they do is right before the baby is born, they tell you that you're going to feel like a lot of pressure, because basically they're like pushing on your stomach to like get the baby out. And it's going to be really hard to describe it, but like I almost feel it was like this wave of like everything that I had been holding, like just left my body physically and emotionally. And like you actually feel, it doesn't hurt, it's just pressure, but you actually feel like the weight of the baby like leave you. And then she cried, which I didn't experience that the first time. And then they showed her to me and I wailed.
Sure.
Like I was like, I hadn't cried yet. So like I calmed down from like getting my spinal and whatever. And like, then it was just weird. And I was like, I don't like this. Like you're pulling and whatever. And I lost it, like and it was so much relief, and it was such a healing moment. And you know, for those of you who listen, and for those of you who are just popping on, like we talk so much about these really intense and kind of deeper emotions. And I really do feel like that experience, like something left my body. And which, yes, obviously, but also on a deeper level, more metaphorically. And I don't know if I'll ever, like, I would never experience something like that again.
Yeah.
So
what do you feel like was released in that moment? Like what did that moment kind of change in you?
That's a good question. It released all the trauma that I had been holding for years. It released my doubt in myself and my body and what it can do. And it released like excitement and joy and happiness and disbelief and all of these like really good emotions too, that I just never got to feel before.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Sounds like such a powerful.
Oh God, it was so powerful. I'm like, oh, I can't.
Yeah. So was there anything that you didn't expect to feel afterward, whether like right in those next minutes, hours, or
I would say that this has come more postpartum. Well, I mean, I guess from that moment on, you're postpartum. But after I left the hospital, after the first couple weeks, the one thing that I have felt is guilt. And again, Mama's like, you know, we're sitting here and we talk all the time about like all of these emotions and what you can do to live with intention and do all these things, but like we're real people and we're moms and absolutely feel the same emotions. So I knew I would probably feel guilt for two reasons. One, because I didn't get that experience with my son and I wish I did, right? So those emotions came back. That was expected. What I haven't expected is the sense of sadness. And it's a really weird feeling because it's not anything that I can really like point to. And I'm not really going to do a good job of expressing it either because I haven't necessarily figured out like why, but I've had moments of sadness, which I felt more anxious before or with my first and even still kind of more on like what symptoms of mental health I feel on a daily basis or, you know, more often is anxiety. So the sadness is definitely different for me.
So how do you make sense of that sadness? Like, where do you think, what is that tied to? Or where is it coming from?
I want to say that it's tied to that guilt somewhere. I'm not really sure where. And not so much of like wanting to go back to only having one child, right? Like not any of that sadness, but I noticed that like I'm not really irritable, which is kind of my MO when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm just kind of like
Blah? Like,
yeah, like I don't know, like I'm just yeah, I'm just kind of like going yeah, like going with the flow, but feeling kind of more like heavier, you know, more responsibilities, more things to do, seeing the way it's affecting my son, right? So nothing's bad. It just feels heavy at times. Manageable. I'm doing okay, y'all. Don't worry.
now, do you think like where my head is going with that is that transition from going to 1 to 2, because with one, it's like that one kid is your all.
Is it? Yeah.
All of your attention and focus and energy goes to that one child. And I know we've talked about it in previous episodes, but one of the very like real thoughts and emotions that I had was, do I have, or am I going to have enough love to give to a second child? I'm like, because I'm like so full of love, you know, for my first. I'm like, how can I possibly have more to give? Or if I take from that bank of love, am I taking to give to the second? Am I taking away from the first? And I came to find out that like, no, your love pool just continues to grow and you have plenty and plenty to give. But so I'm wondering if like, it's just this, you haven't found your footing yet I mean, it's only been 6 weeks, right? So you haven't found your footing yet in being able to, mentally, emotionally, physically, like distinguish between I have enough, fill in the blank, love to give, energy to give, attention and focus to give, or what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then where does that like leave you emotionally? Which for me, it's kind of leaving me in this sense of like sadness, not because I don't love my life, because I do. I mean, having 2 kids is amazing. And I do definitely think deep down it comes from that. And I'm watching my daughter and I'm watching my son. And again, like I am doing everything for the first time.
Yeah.
I was never sleep deprived, right? Like I never fed my son bottles. Like I do think that it's not really I don't think it's related to her at all. I think my sadness is either related to myself or related to my son, which is definitely hitting me more than I expected. I knew it would be there, but it's hard to watch it all day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, like when you were pregnant, as you were getting closer to, to birth, time
Mm,
and your scheduled C-section and all of that, um, because you made it farther than you did with your son, what were your expectations of what things would look like? And I guess not even how things would look, but more so of like what were your expectations of like what life with a newborn was going to be, given
mm,
that it was going to be different
yeah.
because
Yeah.
your son was born at 25 weeks and stayed
Yep.
in the hospital for a while,
Yep.
whereas she's out and you guys are home in a few days, So
Yeah.
what were your expectations versus obviously the reality we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
What
yeah.
were those
Actually,
expectations?
my expectations and my reality actually weren't a whole lot different
Okay.
because and and I think because I know how to take care of a newborn. Like even though it and I'll let me like add on to that. Even though my son was in the NICU for 5.5 months, when he came home, yes, we had all the medical stuff. No, he did not take bottles. No, he did not show me hunger cues. He didn't cry all the time like my daughter does. But I know how to take care of a baby who has a floppy head. Like that's a silly example,
Yeah.
but I know how to maneuver with a newborn
Mm-hmm.
and a baby that needs all of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was never really worried about that stuff. I knew the sleep deprivation and not sleeping and being on that kind of cadence was going to be the hardest. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was almost like prepping for landing
Mm-hmm.
and like hoping it wasn't going to be so bad.
How's that working out for you?
Um, Guys, like ladies, moms, whoever's listening to you, I can't admit this, but I drink way too much coffee and more than I would like to admit. Okay, so it's not working great, but you know what? I think now I'm just so tired that it
Yeah.
doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that was the one thing, particularly for my first, that kicked my ass. Like
Yeah,
I felt
you're
like I
right.
was a zombie for a long, long time.
Yeah,
And once that fog lifted, I was like, oh my God.
yeah, yeah. And like I'm gonna say this for the moms who are watching who are exclusive breastfeeders. Uh, you are my heroes because I'm exclusively pumping, which is a feat in and
Oh
of
yeah.
itself. But at least I can give at least I give the bottle to my husband. And I'm like, I'm gonna go sleep for 5 hours, which sometimes I don't even get the 5 hours. But mamas, you guys are. I mean, we're all rock stars, but for those of you that exclusively breastfeed and are just like up all the time for
Yeah.
months, like.
Yeah. I mean, yes, and I feel like every situation has its pros and cons, right? Because
Oh, totally.
I feel like exclusively pumping is like my worst nightmare. So like I'm like I remember giving up pumping after or for my second. Um, like I had planned to breastfeed because I breastfed my oldest, um and that was like easy breezy. So I just expected it to be
For
easy
it to be
breezy with my
breezy.
second, and it wasn't. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
weren't able to get the breastfeeding down. So
Yep.
I
Well, and it's funny. I've heard that people who mostly or exclusively breastfeed, they hate pumping. They
yeah,
hate it.
yeah,
And people who I know who are mostly pumpers hate breastfeeding. So that's super
so
interesting. I
interesting.
tried to put my baby up on there like 3 times, and I was like, not a shot, not
Yeah,
happening. No, thank you.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's interesting.
Because once the breastfeeding wasn't working out, like I had already planned that we were going to transition to formula once I returned to work and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it in my head it was going to be a gradual, planned, like, transition to the formula, but it happened way quicker because even the exclusive pumping, like, one, physically, it was not working out for me, and
Yep.
also mentally, I was like, I this is like driving me insane. I can't
No, it
do
is.
this
It's a
anymore.
lot.
I was like,
It is.
I don't know how much longer I can take of this. And my husband's like, it is not worth it. Like, you
No,
need to be
totally.
sane. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
need your
even
sanity.
yep. I won't, I mean, I'm an oversupplier and I'm very lucky that I am. I was for my son as well. But there's no shot that I could be an exclusive pumper for a year.
Yeah.
Not a shot in hell.
Yeah.
Just because our lifestyle doesn't, like, one, it doesn't allow us to do that, but two, like, being hooked up to a pump all the time is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It's exhausting when you go from 0 to 1. It's exhausting from 1 to 2. It's exhausting it's exhausting for however many kids you have, but it's tough.
Yeah.
I walk around with my my portables all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
it's, like, everyone has their opinions on, what they prefer for their children, and
yeah.
yeah, but I think at the end of the day, like, we have to do what's best for us, and us
Yep.
can be the collective of you, your child, other
Yes.
children, and your spouse, and
Yes.
family as a whole, or for
Totally.
yourself, because
Yes.
again, at the
Yes.
end of the day, like, you need your sanity, you need to sleep,
Yes.
because
And what does that mean? Yep.
if you're not taking care of yourself, what good are you going to be to the baby or anyone else in the home,
Yes.
So,
Yes, exactly. And we knew going into it that I was going to exclusively pump, and even regardless of how it came to be, whether I supplied like I did last time or didn't supply at all. I mean, I really in the hospital thought that I wasn't going to have a supply because I went one full day and I pumped nothing. And so I was like, all right, like we're going to be giving formula. But me and my husband, I mean, everybody needs their sleep. So, but we knew going into it that we needed the routine, that one of us needed to at least get 5 hours of sleep and basically not be on any type of duty. And the other person needs to be on duty anytime the baby cries or needs to be fed or needs a diaper change or whatever. And don't get me wrong, those 5 hours are still broken up at times. But it's definitely saved my sanity. I'm still exhausted, but it's definitely saved my sanity.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does day-to-day life actually look like right now for you? What feels overwhelming, beautiful, and everything in between?
I looked at my husband. I'm not having a third child, but I did look at my husband. Were we in the hospital or had we just come home? I can't remember. I looked at him and I go, I totally understand why people continue to have kids. Like, I get it. Because like that newborn scrunch that I never got to experience, the like cuddles and the cute little faces and the soft hair and the little toes. And
that is one thing, like, I don't know what it is about baby feet. I just love baby feet. Like when I saw her little baby feet, I was like, oh my God, her little toes. I'm like, her little toes.
The viewers are so not going to be able to like see this, but look at her little toes.
I just love baby toes. I don't know what it is.
I mean, like my son had baby toes too, but I mean, you're in a hospital. Those aren't that cute, like they had monitors all over them. But yeah, that's the beautiful part.
Yeah.
Number one is definitely being able to experience the tiny, small, like newborn, just cuteness. The next thing that feels beautiful is my son loves her. Loves her. First of all, he calls her Janana, so her name is Gianna, but he calls her Nana,
oh my God,
because he can't say Gianna for some whatever. He's 3, so there's no reason for him to be able to pronounce that. wants to hug her and kiss her and talks to her and wants to play with her and just is like, is Gianna hungry? Does she need a bottle? Does she need a diaper change? Like, I'm like so unwell. So I would take that like tenfold, like over absolutely everything. And our day to day is kind of what I feel like maternity leave would look like for any mom. Like I'm a milk monster and I feed the baby and I take my kid to daycare and we play with his ice cream truck. And that's what my days, and I nap with her. That's what my days look like. Yeah. It definitely feels like a little bit of a Groundhog Day, which is super common, right? For especially when you're on leave. I'm really lucky. My husband is on leave with me for 12 weeks and he took state leave and he took his own parental leave. So that has been huge. And I know mamas, like, that is not everybody's experience. Like some spouses don't even get time off. So it has really helped my postpartum experience for sure. And then I would say the biggest thing, or maybe the hardest part emotionally and thing that is most overwhelming, is really just managing two kids. I mean, like, baby screaming because she's hungry, but like, you need to make dinner for your toddler, right? Like the management is a lot. And it's going to take some getting used to. And for those of you that like don't know, and I don't even know if I've talked about this in previous episodes, but like, my son has a lot of appointments, right? Like he has OT and PT and vision. And like, I mean, he has multiple appointments a week. So it's really challenging to navigate those things, to be on time, to make sure he's ready, to make sure she's ready, she's fed, she's comfortable. So it's a lot of, I'm navigating a lot in that way that I sometimes don't even feel like I have the moment to feel the emotional piece, because I'm just like,
you're just going from one thing to the next. And
So I look forward to when I feel like it's a little bit more consistent and not so all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like one of the hardest lessons to learn in parenthood in general, but especially when you're going from 1 to 2, is you got to get real comfortable with constantly tweaking, adjusting, adapting, because there's just so many moving parts. It's unrealistic. And I feel like super unproductive to think that you can just keep things the same until the end of time, or like try to hang on to things. Well, like, but this works, or like that. And like lying to yourself, or like trying to convince yourself.
Whatever worked when you had one does not work when you have two.
Yeah, it doesn't. So like, be realistic and recognize like, what are the things that like need to change, because it's going to be better. And like, sometimes it's hard to see that it will be better because that's all you know, obviously. But so how has your relationship shifted with your oldest now?
I'm telling you, and I know I kind of already said it, that is just the one thing that I'm having the hardest time with, because he sees it, he feels it. And any person I've ever talked to, like, they know that your child or your children are going to have difficulty, especially the younger they are. And just obviously in different ways. And so loves her, probably doesn't love us on a daily basis. He definitely still does. But I can't give him all the attention anymore, right? And it's hard. It's for a kid who had all of our attention on every level for 3 years. I mean, it's not just an adjustment for him, it's an adjustment for us too. And so we're being kind to ourselves, and One thing, and this is actually something that I would love to share with our viewers that has really helped us. So if you're going from 1 to 2 or even 2 to 3, and you're seeing kind of the behaviors like in your kiddos, ask them who they want to do whatever it is that they have to do. And I found over the past 6 weeks that who do you want to feed Gianna? And he'd be like, Mama. Okay, so then dad would go and play with him. I would feed Gianna, or vice versa. To help like engaging him in doing a lot of the things, because he sees that as play, like he doesn't see it as work, which is kind of nice. But the biggest is asking him what he wants. Now, yes, can we always give him what he wants? No, but when we're seeing his behaviors and the two of us are here and have the ability to split that into kind of what he wants, not necessarily what's going to work for us. And I've seen that has had a significantly powerful impact on him, which I love. And I don't know, we just kind of came up with that on him. So
I wanted to share a couple that I think are really, really helpful. One being that I think it is really, really, really helpful that you dedicate one-on-one time to each child, but particularly when you're bringing home a new baby, that you allot one-on-one time with the oldest, because they deserve it too, you know, like obviously mom is spending so much time with the baby one-on-one. So making sure that you dedicate some time specifically, whether that's just like, you know, like you be the one to give the oldest the bath, or you be the one to, you know, put them to bed and read them a book just one-on-one, or you take them out somewhere one-on-one or something like that. And the other would be to, because there's again so much one-on-one time with mom and baby, that you incorporate the oldest into certain things. So like even like if you're feeding the baby, like, hey, big brother, big sister, can you go get the, you know, burp cloth and bring it to mommy, you know, and that sort of thing, to make sure that there's just this undertone that like we're all in this together, like, you know, we're a family, we're a cohesive unit, and a lot of that energy and that love and attention is shared amongst everyone, you know.
It really helped us too that we or I'm sorry, my son had break, like, because it was Christmas and then New Year's. He didn't have daycare, and as much as it was challenging him just being home in the house with this new baby, I really think it helped a lot, because we kind of just threw him right into it. And although he didn't have a routine and that was really hard, he kind of just got like a very clear understanding of like what it was really quickly. But it worked really well, because now he's kind of like, okay, I mean, the crying doesn't even bother him anymore. So it's really been effective. And I agree with you. Like, I try to spend as much time one-on-one with him as humanly possible.
Yeah, definitely. So how has your relationship with yourself shifted?
That's a good question.
What kind of stands out the most to you?
This kind of probably piggybacks a little bit off of what I was talking before about this kind of like sense of sadness and trying to kind of navigate the capacity for which I have. And because I have noticed that I'm being a little bit more go with the flow, or more just kind of like nonchalant about things, I really haven't felt overwhelmed or anxious like about things that I normally would feel that way about. And I found that even though something's taking its place, like this feeling of sadness, I really want to dive into that. And I haven't really done it yet. But I want to kind of dive into more of the go with the flow. Like it's not that serious kind of approach to things, because I was so kind of keyed up and rigid for a long time. So I kind of can see me kind of growing into a person who like just really doesn't focus on the things that might have bothered me before, okay, this isn't really a big deal. It can't be a big deal. Like I don't have the energy or the
fish
time.
to fry, like
yeah, right. Like I don't have the attention or the time or the energy to put towards this. Like if it's not hurting you and you're not being unsafe, like this is really more toward my toddler, but like not a big deal. Like you want to watch Daniel Tiger when we wake up in the morning, which we never did with him before, go ahead, buddy, because I need to drink my warm coffee and like I can't think right now because I just went to bed 2 hours ago. So I definitely want to kind of engage in kind of more of that, like, go with the flow type of attitude. And that's such a huge shift for me to like really not focus on those things. So it hasn't necessarily happened fully yet, but that's kind of the shift I feel like I'm kind of coming into.
Yeah. I would have to ditto that. I think that is one of the biggest shifts that I've seen in myself after having my first, but now, with two and just kind of, time has gone on. I think that just the perspective shift of like, what are the things that actually matter and what don't? And, like you said, like to simplify it, you try to think of it as like, is this a big problem or a little problem? Like, is this urgent? Is it important? Like, you know what I mean? Like these are things that I think wildly help us to make better choices instead of putting ourselves in situations where we kind of back ourselves into a corner of like, again, no, this is how I've always done it, so I'm just going to keep doing it no matter like how hard it's making my life. It's like, no, like be flexible, like be adaptable, and things, go just so much smoother. We don't have to, I think sometimes we make things a lot harder for ourselves than they need to be. And
definitely. Yep. Absolutely. Because this is the way we need to do it or want to do it. And like, we'll get there. I mean, you should see my house. My house is a disaster. Like I literally, there's Play-Doh. Like I'm like looking at just Play-Doh that's been like sitting on the ground, but I laugh because it's like, yeah, do I want a cleaned and picked up home? Yes. Is it realistic with bottles everywhere and my toddler spending 3 days at home a week? Not a shot, like not a shot. So it's just kind of things that I just don't want to kind of overwhelm me anymore. That I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
I can let go of this. Bye. See you later.
Yeah. And I think what's important there is that distinction between the intention behind like, I don't want this to bother me, so I'm going to let it, versus I'm just going to push this to the side, sweep it under the rug, and pretend like it's not there and like avoid it, which are two totally different things. And I think that when we do think of it more as the like, I know that this is going to do X for me, then I'm going to do this instead. Because again, we need our sanity.
And we need to make space for that stuff. Like if we're like, or make space for our sanity. So if that stuff is just taking up space, I can't worry about the fact that I haven't done laundry in a week and a half. Like, does everybody have clothes to put on their body? Yes. Great. Is it what they're supposed, is it the nice things that they have? No, but it's fine. Like my laundry will get done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we still have so much more to talk about. It looks like we're going to have a part
Part
two
two.
of
I
this.
like the idea of having a part two. I was like looking at the time and I was like, Monica has to go run and get her kids. I got to go feed the baby. And I was like, this might be a part two.
This is definitely, there's going to be a part two here. So I think for now, like thank you for
Heck yeah.
like sharing, letting us kind of into your world and your experience as, you know, a mom of two now and all the things that you've been kind of going through recently. So in that sense, you know, thank you for sharing that with
Yeah, of
with
course.
everyone, you know, because I'm sure that it'll hit differently in different ways for
Yeah.
different people. But
Yeah, definitely.
we have still a lot more that we wanted to get into that we'll have to put off into a part two of this. But
Cool.
I just wanted to say that again, if you're